The Porsche 911 has had a midlife refresh, and the big news is that the upper mid-level, there are many levels to the 911 range, Carrera GTS, is now a hybrid. You can imagine the reaction when Porsche first said it was going to hybridize its icon, and the online fury at the potential of a two-tonne, pluggable 911, only it turns out that it's neither 2 tons, nor pluggable. In fact, it remains at quite a reasonable 1,595 kilograms, even if there are a few caveats to that figure. Then again, with its added complexity, might the GTS be in danger of losing its status as the sweet spot of the 911 range? Let's take a look at the changes for the facelifted 911, the 992.2, as Porsche people like to say, and see if it is still one of the best sports cars on the market. We've driven the GTS, Carrera, and Carrera T on road and track, abroad, and in the UK. Design and styling 9. The GTS's engine is a newly developed 3.6-liter flat-six, 0.6 liters bigger than the familiar 3.0 twin-turbo unit used in the Carrera and previously in the GTS, but with the same length two-stroke ratio. What's around it is as significant as what's inside it, because there's now a high voltage 400 volts electrical system, negating the need for a belt drive for the aircon compressor, now electric, and there's no separate starter motor, because there's an additional drive motor. Saved external space is given over to inverters and converters. The engine revs to 7,500 revolutions per minute, and on its own, it makes for 7-8 bhp, and for 120 pounds-feet of torque. But since the introduction of the 8-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox PDK in the previous generation, 911, the 991, there has been room set aside in the gearbox for a permanent magnet synchronous drive motor, which is now fitted and produces 5 bhp and 111 pounds-feet. Because the motor is integrated into the PDK, it means the GTS loses the option of a manual gearbox. There's more. Instead of twin turbocharging for the engine, there's a single, larger turbocharger, but this too has a motor to help it spin up more quickly or to keep it spinning. Both the drive motor and this e-turbo motor are powered by a 1.9 kilowatt-hours battery under the front boot lid and can return kinetically recuperated juice to it. The new powertrain, Badge T Hybrid, has a total output of 5.3 for the HP. Porsche works in kW, and rounding fractions to the nearest integer makes it look more powerful than the two figures combined, and for 150 pounds-feet. The GTS now features rear-wheel steering as standard, and will get roll-stabilizing PDCC as an option. This is now powered by the new 400-volt system. Interior. So the 992.2 gets a welcome visual and technical freshening up, but the changes on the inside are less positive. Previously, you started your 911 by turning a nice tactile switch, which would make the beautifully wrought analog tachometer spring into life. Now you just press a button to turn on a screen. Hardly life-altering stuff, but the tachometer used to be such a distinctive feature, and getting rid of it has made the car's interior slightly less special. That said, the purposeful driving position, which gives you an evocative view over the classic 911 bonnet, remains present and correct, and the interior is still a really pleasant place to be. Perceived quality remains superb. The 992's dashboard has a line of metallic toggle switches just below the infotainment screen that look expensively hewn, with a knurled finish. The car's manual heater controls and gear selector also look like they have been designed with care, and their presence seems mainly to appeal to the touch. There's a bit too much gloss black plastic around the interior, but there is plenty of surprise and delight elsewhere. The Carrera T's manual gear lever is now topped with an open-pore, walnut-laminated wood gear knob. It's a cool reference to the Carrera GT and racing Porsches of the past, and a nice change from the usual leather. Behind it is a little mount manual transmission badge. As standard, the Carrera T comes with part leather, part cloth seats with a subtle blue tartan pattern, which is a nice change from the usual leather. The cabriolet's roof raises and lowers quickly, and on the move if necessary. When it's down, it takes just one button to raise a wind deflector, which eliminates almost all turbulence. Infotainment. We may mourn the loss of the analog tachometer, but it is made slightly easier by the rest of Porsche's digital tech working flawlessly. The gauge cluster has a number of layouts to choose from, including one that mimics the classic one, and it gives you a lot of choice in terms of which information you want it to display. The center screen has exceptionally crisp resolution and graphics and responds pretty much instantly. Its menu structure is also very logical and easy to use on the move. Both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto work wirelessly and are nicely integrated into the native interface. Engines and performance. The GTS's new power unit is good for a 0 to 62 miles per hour time of 3.0 sec and a top speed of 194 miles per hour, and it officially returns 26.4 mpg and emits 244 grams per kilometer of CO2. Overtakes are a cinch. It has almost as much power as the current turbo, and one could imagine that it will provide the basis for the facelifted turbo, which is surely going to be mind-bendingly fast, because this is borderline there already.